Sundan to ni.
Inag-
Recording now.
Hello, welcome. Another beautiful day to our listeners, and welcome to our first episode of NYSI Malayan Podcast. I'm Ivan Raul Sagradao Aaron, your host for this episode. Today, we will talk about the Republic Act 9003, or the so-called Ecological Solid Waste Management Act of 2000. First, let me share you a brief explanation about the topic. So, the Ecological Solid Waste Management Act of 2000 is also known as Republic Act 9003 is a significant piece of environmental legislation in the Philippines. The law was developed in response to the nation's impending waste issues. It was passed by the Philippine Congress on December 20, 2000, and was subsequently approved by the Office of the President on January 26, 2001. It demonstrates the potential and advantages of recycling and addressing issues with waste management as well as reducing poverty. So come and let's hear what Republic Act 9003 is and the importance of this law. Here is Mr. Kirby Bandong, our first speaker, an entrepreneur student of Mapua Malayan Colleges Mindanao, to share with us his knowledge about this law. Good day to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Ivan, for giving me time to express my own opinions about this certain topic. So, Republic Act 9003, also known as the Ecological Solid Waste Management Act of 2000, is an act that aims to solve problems related to solid waste management. In the Philippines, solid waste management is considered to be one of the most serious environmental issues. This act mandates local government to reduce waste reduction. It makes provision for efficient solid waste management and for environment-friendly disposal of waste. This act describes solid waste management as a discipline associated with the control of generation. So these are the things to consider under this act. First one is to ensure the protection of public health and environment. Second one is to utilize environmentally sound method. Third one is to set guidelines and targets for solid waste. Fourth is to ensure the proper waste segregation, collection, and disposal. Fifth one is to take a step to manage and segregate waste. Sixth is to make sure to separate containers for dry and wet waste in the kitchen. Next is to always keep two bags for dry and wet waste collection. Lastly, for sanitary waste, keep a paper bag at hand at all times. Now let me introduce to you our second speaker, Mr. MK, to share the importance of Republic Act 9003.
Thank you, Mr. Kirby, for that wonderful knowledge of yours. So, Republic Act 9003 is an important and helpful Republic Act because this provides an ecological solid squander administration program, making fundamental regulation components and motivating forces, pronouncing certain acts, precluding and giving penalties, and appropriating reserves. This can be an instrument that helps LGUs accomplish 25% squander diminishment, typically greatly imperative in your community, primarily since it will anticipate your family from encountering the hazardous results of solid waste material. Waste management has been repeatedly the subject of much dispute. Waste management includes the dealing with squandered materials from the time it is made to its disposal. This incorporates how the trade or company collects, transports, processes, reuses, and disposes its squander. It is additionally the segregated waste is frequently cheaper to dispose since it does not require as much manual or mechanical sorting as blended squander. Having an appropriate waste management can result within the accessibility of profitable materials to reuse. Finally, Waste administration is also imperative for open well-being. Destructive waste can cause long-term well-being issues, so it is exceptionally critical that they are disposed of appropriately and carefully and not blended in with the ordinary waste coming out of your domestic. And that is all for the importance of Republic Act 9003.
Oh, thank you for sharing your knowledge with us, Mr. Bandong and Mr. Morandante. And for our last speaker, I present you Mr. Eric Israel to share with us the consequences of waste mismanagement.
Thank you, Mr. Ivan. Waste mismanagement is a serious problem nowadays, not just here in the Philippines, but also around the world. Waste mismanagement can lead to various pollution that will worsen global warming and climate change. An example of it is air pollution. Air pollution are mainly produced by fumes from the burning waste and also landfill gases. Air pollution may cause respiratory problems, heart disease, stroke, and lung cancer, and also animals are affected. Soil contamination is another consequence of waste mismanagement. Major sources of this is mining, quarrying, energy production, and construction facilities. Hazardous substances may enter the soil as water trickles from the contaminated sites, leaching chemicals, fertilizers, or pesticides. Contaminated soil so releasing toxic components into the food chain. Marine pollution. Marine pollution constitute a significant threat to marine life, fisheries, mangroves, coral reefs, and coastal zones. Imagine, approximately 80% of this pollution derives from land-based sources, such as pesticides, heavy metals from mining, electronic waste, radioactive substances, industrial discharges, and marine litter. Here is Mr. Ivan Aaron for the closing remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kirby Bandong, Mr. Eric Israel, and Mr. MK Morandante. Within a short time, may our listeners have learned a lot from this episode. Let's throw our garbage in the right trash can, no matter how small or big your trash is. Let's also give it value. Thank you very much. Always remember that you, me, we are nature.